Furia's Molodoy is ready to become the new captain. Tn1r didn't care about Spirit's interest. Hunter doesn't want to play against Falcons, and the first matches of Fissure playground. Hello there friends, this is CS2 News Hub. Without further ado, let's get straight to it. Okay, and yeah, heads up, exclusive content is coming. Our crew is live at the Fissure playground right now, so we've got a lot of interviews with tons of players. But before that, let's kick things off with a topic we've touched before. The NA scene. And yeah, it's no secret, even with M80's results, North America is still struggling big time. But how do you bring the region back to its former glory, or at least make it competitive again? Some pros had a few ideas. So Fallen thinks the answer is more LANs, so fans can come together, watch CS, and keep the hype alive. Apex, though, had a, let's say, more creative take. According to Vitality's captain, the only way to save NACS is Zaivu, who should marry an American girl, have a couple of kids, and boom, future NA superstars are ready to restore the region. Speaking of Fallen, it feels like he's already preparing his replacement in Molodoy. Our guys at Fissure find out that Molodoy sometimes helps out with mid-round calls. He's done it previously with other teams, and now he's just bugging Fallen for advice on how to get sharper at it. For now, he's locked in as the team's sniper, but don't be surprised if he takes the IGL role sooner rather than later. Fallen might finally get some peace of mind knowing there's a strong sniper captain who is ready to carry Furia forward. You know, legacy and all that. Hey guys, before we jump to the next news, let me just take a minute to tell you about our friends at Force Drop. They're one of the oldest and most trusted case opening websites out there. These guys have been in the game for over 9 years. Whether you're into free cases, super cheap ones, or rare and risky drops, they've got it all. There are also tons of game modes to check out, battles, contracts, and my personal favorite, Upgrade, where you can turn a basic skin into a knife. They also run constant giveaways for those who deposit, with some seriously juicy prizes up for grabs. Plenty of deposit options too, including crypto. And if you use crypto, you will get an extra 3% bonus. And here's the best part, we've got an exclusive promo code for you, News Hub. Enter it on the site or just click the link in the pinned comment, and you will get a 40% bonus to your deposit, top-tier drops, and instant cash outs. That's what Force Drop is about. Check it out and see for yourself. Speaking of snipers on Brazilian teams, we have to mention Klim again from MIBR. We previously reported that he got a warning from the org over his trash talk on Faceit. Racist trash talk. But you know, well, things escalated. He got slapped with a 7-day ban on the platform for those same comments, which basically meant he couldn't even play the officials. And the irony doesn't stop there. Kickert couldn't play either, thanks to the roster lock. So in the end, MIBR really ended up being the made in Brazil for one match. Yeah, discipline is key, but talent, it really matters as well. And Klim just landed a spot in HLTV's top 50 prospects of the year. Leading the pack are Kyosuke, Molodoy, PR, Jambo, and Makazi. Also cracking in the top 10 are Zwei, Kaspersky, and Grix. And of course the fan favorite G from Tyloo and Jacob, the newest phase recruit. Like we said last time, even NiKo admitted that this year's been crazy because so many young talents are showing insane game sense and god-tier aim. They're a nightmare to play against, no matter if it's Faceit or officials. But now my guys, here's a question for you. Who is the biggest rising star of 2025 in your eyes? Tell us in the comments below. Speaking of young talents, we just can't skip over the tier 2 scene because things are getting wild there. You know, previously we reported about Sansa, who used raider hacks and cheated throughout the tournaments, but now it's time for Algo to make headlines. This team decided to suspend 3 players for cheating, based on a Polygraph test. Can you imagine? But here's where it gets messy. 2 of the players later claimed that the whole thing was staged to stir up controversy. The head of security who ran the test just vanished the next day. All the players received after the test was just a screenshot saying that some of their answers indicated lies, but no one knows which ones exactly. Even before the test, on the 5th of September, the assistant coach teased the whole team that they would be making headlines, and the polygraph was scheduled for September 8th. So the players had no idea what was coming, and they just saved all their messages with the org, showing that this might have been a hype stunt rather than a real investigation. On top of that, Boros, the first to expose match-fixing mafia in China, revealed that somebody and his colleagues were spreading cheats beyond China. So apparently some Europeans got their radar cheats right from their Chinese friends. But which teams exactly is still a mystery. Now let's finally jump back to Tier 1. Did you know that Perfecto was actually offered the IGL role ages ago? Blade wanted him to lead back in NAVI, but he turned it down. Today though, Perfecto sees the position as a way to continue his career. He admits he thought it would happen later, but he already knew that one day he wanted to be a captain. At the moment, he's just working hard to adapt as quickly as possible. Here's a quick reminder: Perfecto only stepped into the IGL role after Electronic was moved to the bench of VP, so it kinda happened a couple of weeks ago. And today we will talk about it a little later when we will watch the Fissure matches. Now, since we're talking about IGLs, we've gotta mention G2's new leader. Hunter recently said that he's not exactly hyped about the idea of G2 playing against Falcons anytime soon, basically because that would mean going head-to-head against his cousin NiKo, and even worse, against his buddy m0NESY. He pointed out that it's never been easy to battle the family, especially after they started out together in CS 1.6 and then spent 5 years side by side in G2. And yeah, considering that Hunter and m0NESY are like father and son, or I don't know, uncle and son, it makes it even more awkward. But if the matchup happens in the grand finals, he thinks it would be pretty special, because one of them would have to come out on top. And that's cool, but he also hopes both teams make it to the playoffs, since that would bring loads of family and friends from Bosnia over to Serbia to cheer for them. Now, sticking with the IGLs, we asked Major what comes next after he hangs up the mouse. He said the first thing he'll do is take a break, clear his head, enjoy the life, and maybe even step into coaching. Keep in mind, there have been rumors that this could easily be his last season as a pro. He's admitted he's pretty exhausted and wants to dedicate this time to family. But he also kinda said that he's not done yet, so maybe if not this season will be last, maybe next? Who knows? We also asked Hooxi what he thinks about Magisk stepping into the lineup. He said Astralis still needs a few more officials to say exactly where they're at, but so far things look good. Magisk is adapting quickly, his mechanics are sharp, he's taking initiative, and honestly, playing with him has been fun, said Hooxi. The team knew replacing a player could mean losing some firepower, but after just a few pracks with Magisk, they realized it wasn't an issue. The players welcomed him warmly, Device is especially happy to reunite with his former teammate. Hooxi added that the roster changes were necessary. Well, it's frustrating to go back after months of progress, it was clear that Staven needed a break. Now, the goal for Astralis is simple: make Magisk as comfortable as possible, no matter the role, and have a plan ready. But it looks like Heroic has had enough of all the roster changes. In a recent interview, Young Star, the rifler, said that the team is basically tired of constant swaps and really hopes that things will finally settle down. First, they tried adding 2 new players with completely different playstyles. Then, they swapped out their sniper for an academy talent, who still needs time to gain experience and get in shape. Youngstar said that replacing Sampayas was especially tough given the responsibility he carried. His departure made life a lot harder for the team. Just to remind you, after the major, Sampayas and the team's coach So both moved to G2, and with all the cash that Heroic got, G2 won a trophy and they look good and promising. Now, Tn1r, the newcomer for Team Spirit, gave a huge interview for Shock, an Eastern European content creator. Tn1r told how he ended up in Heroic and Spirit, and also said who wanted him else. And this will get you surprised. And he also talked about players' salaries. Let's dive in. First, Team Spirit quietly let him know that they were interested, and he VP's reaction was priceless. He just said, honestly, I don't care, but let's try. Then came the scouting process. They made a profile, asked Gun5 and Heroic for references, and then they just sat down to discuss their CS2 vision. Tn1r had a brain teaser session with Spirit coach Holly to see how he thinks in game. I mean, this is how we get things done. Second, according to Tn1r himself, besides Spirit, Virtus.pro and Ninjas in Pyjamas were also interested. He passed on Virtus.pro due to their reputation and how they treated Flamus and Norbert, and didn't even care for Ninjas in Pyjamas. Virtus.pro's CEO later confirmed that they indeed looked into him, quote-unquote, besides a lot of other options, but they never spoke to him directly, while Heroic's management set a potential price which was too high. Basically, this whole clarification was mostly to address the VP rumors and, you know, damage control. But streets will never forget Flamus and Norbert. Now, according to Tn1r, he learned a lot in each team and expects Spirit to be no different. His Heroic transfer was lightning fast. Heroic coach So just messaged him in the morning. They chatted, and by the next day he was officially in the roster. Tn1r also shared some of his salary journey. This is monthly. He got $200 at Zorka, $300 at Trasco, $600 at Webster's, $1,200 at Force, $2,000 at Gun5, and just under $10,000 in Heroic. I mean, he carried Heroic hard, so 10k is, well, I guess a good deal for Heroic. And obviously his current salary at Team Spirit is unknown. Now, before we dive into the Fissure Playground matches, let's talk about HLTV, Valve, and the VRS ranking. We just need to mention that HLTV released a detailed Valve ranking table and added 5 new sub-menus. You can now see things like recent LAN performances, measuring the value of wins, VRS components that track total victories, ratings for the most valuable wins, and a system that calculates points based on head-to-head performances. Take Vitality as an example. They scored 52 points at Blast London, 61 at Esports World Cup, 22 at Blast Bounty, and 87 at IM Cologne, as well as 284 at Austin Major. And you know what, guys? Just imagine this. Simple and BCG could grab a StarLadder Major invite if they win ESL Challenger League Season 50 Cup 2 and the next European Pro League. But they also need to hope that Ninjas in Pyjamas and Fnatic will choke, as well as 10 other teams, because all the major invites will be dropped on October 6th. If Simple will get to StarLadder Major, it would be legendary. Now, finally, let's wrap up the first day of Fissure Playground. The first match was Gamer Legion versus Tyloo, and, you know, guys, it's hard to call this a real fight, because Tyloo were just giving a masterclass. 13-3, 13-4, and 3 Tyloo players scored more than 175 of rating. Poor Gamer Legion. I don't know what happened to them. Next up, we had the Mongols versus 3D Max, and this match was super close. Although the Mongols recently won the EWC, defeating 3D Max was not as straightforward as expected. On Inferno, they trailed 4-8. Then they got 6 rounds in a row to take the lead, but ultimately they lost 5 consecutive rounds and dropped the first map. On Ancient, the Mongols dominated, and the opponent had no chance. So the match moved to the deciding nuke, where 3D Max initially led 6-0 and then lost 5 rounds in a row. After switching sides, the French team managed to pull ahead and benefited from a 4-round streak. And just like that, the Mongols lost. Then we also had Virtus.pro versus Falcons, and you know what, forget Tyloo. This was even worse for VP. Map 1, 1 round thanks to Icy. Map 2, 2 rounds total. Yeah, you heard it right. In 2 maps, only 3 rounds. Falcons dominated completely, but VP clearly seemed lost. They need some serious practice. Finally, we've got Astralis versus Aurora. On Nuke, Magisk immediately demonstrated why he was brought in. It's his favorite map. So half 1 ended in a tie, and in the second half, Astralis showed why they picked Nuke, executing strong attacks. On Dust 2, Aurora led 9-3 in the first half and easily reached the map point, but Astralis fought back from 6-12 to force overtimes. And here I thought, oh my god, Astralis era is back, but well, no, Aurora ultimately won the map. On the decider, Astralis fell behind 3-7 after losing a crucial 5v2, and then Aurora just claimed a 2-1 victory for their first win at the tournament, though Astralis looked solid in their new lineup and Magisk performed well. There's still a lot of potential in this team, even without Stavn. And my friends, finally that's all for today. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, to drop by in the comments below and hit the like button as well. We're not saying goodbye for a long time. See you soon.